the big news there is that we're putting the final touches on dotCMS 5.3. dotCMS 5.3 is a big release from a structural standpoint, in the sense that one of the main things that we're going to be doing in it is really beginning to break down the monolith that is dotCMS. And we're going to do that by default shipping with a fully externalized Elasticsearch. dotCMS has traditionally run Elasticsearch in what's called embedded mode. The embedded Elasticsearch has served us well. It's very performant, but again and again we're asked, okay, well, we are already running a large Elasticsearch cluster in-house. Can we just connect to it? And we've always had to say, no, you got to run our embedded Elasticsearch. Well, this really breaks that down, and we begin to treat Elasticsearch like a database that we connect to remotely. Out of the box, we're going to be shipping with Amazon's open distro of Elasticsearch. It's a little more secure than Elastic's free product or open source product, it also comes with all the tooling, Kibana, all of the pieces that you'd expect from to manage your Elasticsearch. Another thing we did, and this was important because when we moved from embedded Elasticsearch to using the REST-enabled Elasticsearch, is the fact that Elasticsearch queries, or dotCMS is now caching the result of those Elasticsearch queries. This was really important for performance, and we've seen some really strong performance numbers using that cache. And that cache is invalidated whenever new content's added to the repo, so it shouldn't have any effect in terms of when content appears in different queries, but that was a really important component. And as I was mentioning, you can use, when provisioning for dotCMS, you can use managed Elasticsearch services. We've tested it against the Elastic service. We've also tested it against the AWS Elastic service. It responds fine to both of those. And we've kept up with the version updates. I think we're maybe one version behind the Elasticsearch version 7 something. It's been running very well and with no modification against the late 6 series to the more modern 7 series of Elasticsearch. And finally, out of the box, dotCMS will, based on its cluster name, will automatically create indexes and the search pieces that it needs. But it allows you to, if you have multiple dotCMS infrastructures, you can use one large Elasticsearch cluster, and they're not going to conflict. You're not going to be able to see the indexes of the other clusters, nor can you read or write. From a structural standpoint, it moves dotCMS away from the, one-click download and, start it up, and it all is sort of this embedded infrastructure. It moves us more towards we're a larger scale system. We're expecting there to be pieces in place like Elasticsearch that we can connect to. All of our Docker compose files and the example reference implementations have been updated to support this, and it's a very important piece for us moving forward. So the next thing that I want to talk about, and I'll show this out of the box, and this is a really, really nice to have feature in dotCMS, we've worked very hard to make managing content more seamless. And this is where we're going as a product. I think this is a very important product direction for us, which is to improve the editor's experience within the system itself. And so what we've done is enabled card view for the content search listings. Now, this is the first blush at it. We're going to be layering this on into different places within the system. It's actually built as a web component, if that's interesting. But the content card view, allows you to switch between a visual, be able to do visual searches across different content types. It also gives you the ability, and this is huge, to drag and drop content right into the dotCMS system. So we're shipping with a new content type called .assets, which is just exactly like the generic piece of content, except it has an asset associated with it. You can drag and drop upload this, and all of the metadata is stored and indexed and made searchable, basically giving you the idea and allowing you to begin to build these large-scale asset repositories. So let me show you what that looks like from a back-end perspective. So here I am in the back-end of dotCMS, right? And you can see here that looks familiar, but what we've done is we've enabled the idea that you can switch here the view for your content and your content search screen. So this is using under the covers. For those who are interested, it's a custom web component. It could be reused in other projects. But as you browse, and I'm just in the default starter site, but you can see here just by looking, it makes finding and managing content, managing blogs, for example, so much more elegant. The idea to be able to see visually which blogs that you're managing, right? And you can do everything you can do from the content list screen, push these through workflow, reset, archive, push publish, all of that can happen right from this card view. Now let me share another cool feature is that, so what we've also done here is we have enabled drag and drop support. So for example, we can go ahead and select these 8 assets here and drop them into our dotCMS installation. And you can see here they're instantly uploaded. Now, this is a work in progress. We're working on the progress bars and the notifications that's happened. But you can see here I uploaded all different kinds of assets, and dotCMS just took them and created, and this is what I was referring to, created this new asset type called a dot asset, which is basically just an asset that can be referenced and used throughout the system again and again. It doesn't have a real URL. Unlike the files in dotCMS, it doesn't have a real URL. You're going to have to refer to it via the short URL or the DA convention URL, but that gives you access to the asset. You can edit the asset in line. Really, it acts like any given asset in the system. So it enables us to begin to now we can layer drag and drop capabilities of these images, these assets, onto all different components within the system. So this is just a start, but you're going to see much more of this as we move forward and begin to embed this idea of these dot assets, these reusable files into our paradigm here, right? And the idea, I think, is to automatically, when a new dot asset's added to the system, to automatically, and it's an image, we can automatically get it tagged. We can get the metadata tagging on it, or if it's a file, all of the content is automatically made searchable by Elasticsearch. So that's the idea of dot assets, and it's really just a new powerful paradigm. The idea of the card view and the ability to just drag and drop assets right into dotCMS is a really neat new feature in 5.3. Next, I want to move on and talk about our hybrid capabilities. And for those of you who have been with us for a bit, dotCMS has an SPA editor, or edit mode anywhere we call it, where you can actually manage an entire page and layout and drag and drop and add new content to pages, manage the layouts, the columns, the headers, all of anything with regard to a page, and then render that in an SPA. What we've done now is we're taking that to the next level, and we've using the latest version of Next.js, we're basically allowing you to manage your SPA and then render that as a static site or asset that can be completely static, depending on how you develop it, or it can be a mixture of static and active, meaning like for example, the above the fold content can be static for high performance, but the below the fold content will be actually driven on the client side, right? And you can see we have, just as a proof of concept, this is all being done with the dotCMS SPA. Let me show you the dotCMS SPA. If you're interested to see how this works, you can see here the dotCMS single page app. You can check this out and get moving with it. And you can see here we've published this, actually, our single page app, which is directly hooked up into our starter site. We're publishing that on Netlify, right? So you can see here the transitions, if I just click back and forth, are almost instantaneous. And you can also see we're even doing things like the form builder is actually being rendered, because this is actually being delivered as an active call and going and retrieving the form layout, which can then be submitted back into dotCMS. So this is just an example of what can be done. These images here are being served off of I believe our demo site, but if you wanted to put them on a CDN and have this site automatically generate itself whenever a new git commit is done to your, to your React single page app, all of that's available to you now with the new SPA. And those are the main highlights of what's coming in 5.3. 5.3 is, we're expecting it within the next month or two, and we're putting the finishing touches on some of the different drag and drop pieces and their integration with the different components of dotCMS. But we're real excited about it. It's going to be a very, very nice upgrade, and just going to continue to push dotCMS forward and make us that much more easy to engage with and use as a content repository.